Hi, I'm Jeanette Roche. This is Bridge City News. Here's a look at some of the stories we have lined up for you tonight. U.S. President Trump has what he calls an amazing meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Plus, a New Brunswick woman says Alberta will have to pay to use Strong and Free on its new license plates. And Trey Yesovich's storybook season continues as the Jays inch closer to a World Series title.
Your nation, your province, your southern Alberta. From the heart of Lethbridge, it's Bridge City News with Jeanette Roche.
Thanks so much for joining us. The leaders of the two most powerful nations on the planet met face-to-face today, and U.S. President Donald Trump says his meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping was, quote, outstanding, and a lot was accomplished.
But overall, I guess on the scale of from 0 to 10, with 10 being the best, I would say the meeting was a 12. Okay, I think it was a 12. I think very importantly, you know, just the whole relationship is very, very important, and I think it was really good. I've agreed, as you know, I put a 20% tariff on China because of the fentanyl coming in, which is it's a big tariff. And based on his statements today, I reduced it by 10%, so it's 10% instead of 20% effective immediately. I believe he's going to work very hard to stop the death. We're in agreement on so many elements, large amounts, tremendous amounts of the soybeans and other farm products are going to be purchased immediately, starting immediately. I thought it was a great meeting. I think it was a very friendly meeting. It was a good meeting for two very large, powerful countries, and that's the way we should get along with the large, powerful countries.
Following the meeting between Trump and Xi, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent announced China has agreed to buy 25 million metric tons of American soybeans annually. Canada and South Korea have agreed to a new defense partnership. The two nations signed an agreement today that will see frequent joint exercises and training, and it also commits the two nations to exchanging military personnel, equipment, and supplies. It comes on the same day that Prime Minister Mark Carney toured a South Korean submarine during a visit to the shipyards of Hanwha Ocean. Hanwha and Germany's TKMS are both competing for a multi-billion-dollar contract to build Canada's next fleet of submarines. Members of the Federation of the Canadian Municipalities say Ottawa needs to step up with more infrastructure funding in next week's federal budget. City councillors from Ottawa and Timmins, Ontario, Thompson, Manitoba, and Vancouver held a news conference in Ottawa outlining what they would like to see.
Municipalities own and operate the core systems that keep Canada running. We're talking roads, systems, transit, emergency services, and right now our communities are dealing with a massive infrastructure deficit to the tune of $270 billion. What does that leave us with? Aging local infrastructure and stalled economic growth. So when the government talks about building big projects, growing the economy, and strengthening our country, it simply can't happen without strong local infrastructure.
Let's take the Port of Churchill, for example, which is clearly close to where I live. It's perfectly positioned to play a major role in the government's nation-building agenda. However, there's only one highway to Thompson, and there's one railway in and out of the port. Access for people, goods and services is very limited. If we truly want to build big, we need strong rural infrastructure to help make this happen.
The Federation wants Ottawa to double the Canada Community Building Fund and index it to GDP growth, launch a next-gen infrastructure program to follow the Canada Infrastructure Program, which ends in 2028, and also grow essential municipality programs that tackle issues like homelessness, welcoming newcomers, and programs that keep people moving. For the second day in a row in Alberta, students across the province walked out of class to show support for teachers after the government used the notwithstanding clause to which is the legislation that forced teachers to end their strike on Wednesday. In Lethbridge, students walked out at Lethbridge Collegiate Institute, Winston Churchill High School, and Chinook High School at 11 a.m. The grade 11 student organizer, Sam Olson, says the government is not listening to students.
No, I don't think they spoke for me at all. By forcing teachers back to school without improving the class conditions and not allowing for class caps or class complexity caps is just negatively impacting us. This is something that we're doing for the future children in the schools, for the future high school students, for the future of our country, and for the future of our province. This is them telling you that they're here to stay and we're here to fight for what we believe in as future voters. You need to do a lot better for your students. What are you doing? This is not helping anybody. If you want to privatize education, if you want to make it worse for all the teachers and all the people that you represent, you can do that. But what are you getting out of that? Just do better, honestly.
Laws like Bill 2 are threats made by the dominant socioeconomic group in a province. These kids see that and they're choosing to stand with the rest of us workers, the rest of the people in this province who don't want our charter rights trampled on. And they're picking up the baton where teachers were forced to leave it. The UCP can show good faith and put that legislation in place. They can withdraw Bill 2. They can choose something different. They can do binding arbitration. They can come back to the table and they can talk about what all the other provinces have talked about, which is class size and complexity. But they don't want to do mediation because they know that's already been ruled to be part of something that can be negotiated by teachers.
After the Alberta government ordered teachers back to work this week, other unions promised an unprecedented response, but talk of a province-wide strike by unionized workers has somewhat fizzled. Now, the head of the Alberta Federation of Labour says it will take time to organize such an unprecedented counteraction.
There are risks, and we saw with the teachers that this is a government that is willing to impose, to use the heavy hand of government to strip workers of the ability to come together and exercise their collective power. So if we're going to do this, it needs to be so big and so widely popular that we are all defended by the size of the movement. And you know, I won't put too fine of a point on this, but they can't arrest 250,000 workers. They can't arrest 350,000 workers. They can't arrest 450,000 workers. There isn't room in our jails.
And I agree with Gil. It takes organizations. I respect the democratic process that every union has because we have our own. And so I have to respect that process. I do respect that process. And everybody needs to have those talks in order to organize.
Meantime, Finance Minister Nate Horner says the announcement sounds like a plan to make a plan. Alberta has hit a little speed bump with its planned rollout of a new license plate, but the provincial government says it's not pumping the brakes just yet. The new Alberta plates feature the three-word phrase, strong and free. Well, Denise Dow, a New Brunswick business owner who holds a copyright to the phrase, says she wants to make a deal with the province where they pay her a royalty to use the slogan.
We started the brand in 2007 from tracing leaves in our backyard, which created the emblem. And that was designed so that we could have something to encourage Canadians to celebrate Canada. It started with a plaque on your home and very quickly spread to apparel. I started getting messages probably almost a week ago now, social media, emails, phone calls of people saying, hey, you know, Alberta is talking about putting strong and free on their license plate. Isn't that your trademark? And does that cause an infringement? And I looked at it and there were so many emails and contacts, and that in itself means that it is causing confusion in the marketplace. It's just one of the fundamental background statements of trademarks. Does it cause confusion in the marketplace? My trademark office said the best case scenario is that we come to an agreement, like I do with any of my other partners, for use of the trademark in the license plate. We do have license plates as one of the items that we sell, and is trademarked for us. So yeah, I'm looking for a win-win scenario, and a nominal royalty that I would pass on to my family, and part of that could be a donation to a valuable charity in the province of Alberta. Would be the win in my opinion.
In terms of this application, it's not, there's no commercial application. It's a plate. It's got our provincial motto on it. And not only that, our words from our national anthem are on there. And as I pointed out before, the King of England was here a few months ago, and when he read the throne speech in Ottawa, he said, strong and free. So I can't be more clear about this. I mean, there's no one group that will own the corner on strong and free. This is something that we can all get behind and we can all celebrate.
Dow says she has written to the provincial government about her business pitch, but has yet to hear back. The Alberta government announced Thursday it's updating the Water Act in order to streamline regulatory requirements and make it easier for Albertans to use and share water. The update comes in response to a growing population in the province, as the act has not been updated since 1999. A faster process will be in place to adjust their license and allocations by setting mandatory timelines while reviewing applications from licensees. There will be no reductions in allocations for existing licenses.
Over the past year, we heard from thousands of Albertans about what changes are needed. We heard that the foundation of our system is working well, including the principles of first in time, first in right. We also heard that the system is often slow, confusing, inconsistent, and lacks transparency. This keeps our limited water resources from being used and shared as efficiently and effectively as possible. So today, we're listening to Albertans. We're proposing common sense amendments to the Water Act that will help make more water available while keeping our strong environmental protections in place. Right now, slow and confusing rules prevent many farmers from making minor changes to how they use and divert water on their own land. We will give them more flexibility so that water gets to where it's needed. We're also making it easier for communities to collect rainwater from rooftops and reuse wastewater.
According to provincial data, in 2023, Alberta allocated about 9.73 billion cubic meters of water, with more than 96% coming from surface water sources. As trick-or-treating families patrol the streets on Friday for Halloween, police in Lethbridge are reminding all residents to ensure safety protocols are followed. Police are emphasizing road safety measures for pedestrians crossing the street and drivers to be on the lookout during the night. Parents are also asked to check their children's candy for anything that's unsealed or unwrapped, and for the adults, don't drink and drive.
Biggest things for you to be aware of is just make sure that you are well lit. Your costumes are, if you have dark costumes, have some reflecting bands, glow sticks, flashlights, whatnot. Make sure you're going around with your family and or in large groups. If anyone encourages you to come in their house, just decline. When you're going up to houses, ensure that their lights are on, because then they're expecting you to come there. Crossing streets, please do it at the crosswalks. Don't go in between vehicles, as that's one of the big things where lots of families are driving their kids up and down the street. We just want to make sure no kids get hit. Please don't drink and drive. There's lots of kids. There's lots of people out and about. It is one of those holidays that's truly meant to be fun. It's meant to be a time where you can get out kind of your inner kid, if anything, where lots of adults even dress up and have a lot of fun with doing that. So we encourage you to have fun, but with that fun, please don't drink and drive. Please don't be drinking. Or find someone that can be driving you around.
LPS will also be hosting their third annual Trunk or Treat event, where officers and their decorated vehicles will interact with families and hand out candy in a safe and fun manner. From 5 to 7 p.m., they will be at 3 locations: the parking lot of the Nika Yuko Garden at Henderson Lake, Nicholas Sharon Park, and by the Logan Boulay Arena. Should be fun. Well, who doesn't love teddy bears? The Chinook Regional Hospital's pediatric and emergency departments have run out of stuffed animals to ensure children continue to receive comfort through the gift of a new toy during their hospital visit. Alberta Health Services Volunteer Resources is now accepting donations of teddy bears, new teddy bears that is, and new stuffed animals. Colin Zeber, Senior Operating Officer and CRH's operational lead, says the community is invited to drop off donations until November 16th in the bin located at the south end of the hospital atrium.
So until the teddy bear toss, we needed some extra bears and comfort items. So this is a great opportunity for the community to rally behind the hospital and the hospital teams. It's really, we've seen a lot of patients, but it's also our teams have seen more opportunities, and they're looking for more opportunities to give out the bears and provide comfort and support to those patients and families. For us to have teddy bears, so just again a shout out to Blood Tribe EMS, who came in and gave a huge donation to kickstart our donation drive. We've also had the Friends of Chinook Regional Hospital give 100 bears, thanking the community for their support. We could not do it without the support of the community.
Teddy bears are provided annually by toy drives like the Lethbridge Hurricanes Teddy Bear Toss and the Southern Alberta Bikers Teddy Bear Ride. This weekend, when you're watching Hockey Night in Canada, at some point in one of the games, there will be a coach's challenge, and they will go to the NHL Situation Room in Toronto for a ruling. The room has undergone a multi-million-dollar facelift, and we have this peek in behind the scenes there.
We did a lot of research, looked at sports books, looked at restaurants, looked at what things might work for us as far as a layout, and this is what we kind of came up with. And then once we started to decide how we wanted this to look, we were able to work with our IT people to get the feeds and the different things that would make this room work. Even when I came in 01, there was no HD for hockey. We were watching SD feeds on 10-inch screens and taping them with a VCR at the back of the room. And we were making calls on the calls that we could make. And the ability to obviously manage the games from here is better than it's ever been. The ability to educate our officials. And obviously we're known for challenges, reviews, and helping the referees look at their decisions and what they've made in real time. And we don't hate your team, and we're not out to screw you. You know, like obviously when a decision is made, there's one team that's going to enjoy the decision or like it, and there's other team that's going to think that they got, you know, jobbed of that decision. And we don't always agree, but in the end we have to make a decision. And generally when we don't all agree, we stay with that call on the ice. That's what the general managers want us to do.
The Toronto Blue Jays are one win away from winning another World Series after a 6-1 win over the Los Angeles Dodgers on Wednesday. The Jays lead the best of 7, 3 games to 1, or 3 games to 2, that is, and won thanks to an outstanding pitching effort by 22-year-old Trey Yesavage. He set a record for strikeouts by a rookie in the World Series with 12, a remarkable feat considering he was pitching a single A ball in April.
Yeah, it's a crazy world, Hollywood couldn't have made it this good. So just being a part of this, I'm just very blessed.
He's just completely composed. Like the moment's not too big for him, which is crazy for how young he is. So hats off to him for who coached him, who raised him, because he's very, very calm under pressure. So unbelievable.
He's for real. Like, he can go up against anybody right now. You see it. He's going up against the best right now all through these playoffs, and he's shown that he can handle it, and he can do it, and he can get the guys out. So we have the utmost confidence in him. We believe in him. We've seen it. He's one of us. Oh, we're going to enjoy ourselves tonight, obviously, but we know, we kind of been in these situations where the series can change. We understand that. We've been there. We know what it's like. It's going to be a different environment there now back at the Rogers Center, and we just got to take care of business. We just got to go 1-0. We got to keep the same mentality and play the game that we always play.
Game 6 goes Friday night at Rogers Center. I don't know, that could interfere with trick-or-treating. The head of Stellantis says the decision to move Jeep Compass production from Ontario to Illinois was not taken lightly. Stellantis President Jeff Hines told a House of Commons committee today the company is looking at options to get laid off workers back on the job. The federal government said last week it's limiting the number of tariff-free vehicles Stellantis and General Motors can import after both companies cut back their Canadian operations. Hines insists the plant is not closed and that while workers remain laid off, the company remains committed to them. Aerospace giant Saab is looking at Canada as a possible site for assembly for its Gripen fighter jets. Media outlets report that the CEO of the Swedish company has said the search is on for ways to expand production with Canada as a possible location. Mikael Johansson has said in recent interviews that Ukraine's interest in buying more than 100 of the Gripen jets would double Saab's production needs. Industry Minister Melanie Joly is welcoming the news. She is saying that she's been working with Saab to see what other partnerships could be made with Canada, besides the joint manufacturing deal involving Bombardier for the Global Eye surveillance plane. Canadian Pacific Kansas City Limited has reported a big profit boost in its latest quarter despite U.S. tariff disruptions and fears over fallout from a potential merger of rivals. The railway saw net income for the quarter ended September 30th rise 10% year over year to $917 million, while revenues increased 3%. Grain, potash, and container volumes rose markedly year over year, while forest products struggling under a sectoral tariff imposed by the U.S. dropped. Cross-border steel shipments also fell due to 50% U.S. tariffs on imports of the metal, though CPKC helped make up the decline with domestic traffic and direct Canada to Mexico trade. Now here's a look at today's markets.
The TSX was up 34 to 30,178. The Dow was down 109 to 47,522. The S&P 500 was down 68 to 6,822, and the Nasdaq was down 377 to 23,581. West Texas Intermediate Oil was down 19 cents to 60.29 US per barrel. Natural gas was up 24 cents to 4.05 US. Gold was up 93.54 to 40.2474 US an ounce, and silver was up 139 to 48.95 US an ounce. Feed wheat is at $7.21 per bushel, barley is at $5.62, canola is at $14.60, and corn is at $7.34 per bushel. Live cattle were up $3.87 to $2.35.27. Feeder cattle were down 60 cents to $3.47.27, and lean hog's December contract was up 5 cents to $80.82. And the Canadian dollar was even over the past 24 hours and currently sits at $71.50 US.
Recapping one of our top stories, on a scale of 1 to 10, U.S. President Donald Trump called his face-to-face meeting today with Chinese President Xi Jinping a 12. Trump has agreed to lower tariffs on China, while Beijing has agreed to allow the export of rare earth elements and start buying American soybeans. The new Leger poll came out with their Government of Alberta report card, which is showing NDP's Naheed Nenshi with a slight lead over Premier Danielle Smith. We will talk about this and more with the news editor of the Western Standard, Dave Naylor, coming up next. Also, when you see news happening in your community, be sure to send us an email at info@bridgecitynews.ca. You can also visit our website or YouTube channel anytime to check out more of our stories and interviews.